Welcome to TechEd Time Travels. Next stop, 2003.
Yeah.
This is the TechEd Developer Keynote. Look forward to a lot of demos, crazy news, and fun with the advocates.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, especially to all of you here in the room. Welcome to the SAP TechEd Developer Keynote. Yes. For those of you who don't know, I'm Josh Bentley, a blue-bearded developer advocate, and I'm here to get all of us started. I hope all of you are doing fantastic and are energized like I am for this session. I am thrilled to see so many familiar faces and new faces joining us today. Nama Bengaluru. We are Bengaluru. Yeah. So before I get into the session, I wanted to say it's an amazing day, but also it's awesome to think of how much stuff we have here on site at TechEd. We have seen so much great technology, starting with this morning's keynote with Juergen, Julia, the entire team. Tons of hands-on sessions, workshops, learning content, community talks, demos. I mean, there's lectures, and of course, all the experts are walking around on the floor, this enormous floor, but the favorite space for me is the Developer Advocates Developer Garage. So come on by, do some tutorials, and get this t-shirt while it lasts. So, lots of excellent resources are available. Take advantage of them while you can. Tomorrow, have one-on-one interactions, and to those of you watching virtually, we appreciate you so much. I know you have a jam-packed full agenda, full of sessions, so please ask your questions online. Be interactive in the chat as we take you along with us on this hybrid SAP TechEd journey. This year is special for us. It's an extra special one because it's the celebration of the 20th anniversary of the SAP community. So, yeah. So look, I started in technology 20 years ago or so, and I'm only 25, so I'm pretty young. But I got some laughs, that's awesome. I did start outside of the SAP world, though, more than 20 years ago, and when I joined, I had never even heard of the SAP GUI. I didn't know that's how you said it. But do you know what group helped me so much? That's right, the SAP community. So if I could ask everybody, if I could take a moment, if you're part of the old SDN, you're an old-timer, SDN, SCN, could you stand up more than 10 years? Everybody, we want to recognize you and you part. Thank you. Thank you. So, you might be expecting the usual SAP-style keynote after an introduction like that. But today, we're going to be doing something a little differently. We're going to step out of this world of all the virtual webinars, and we've taken inspiration from last year in Las Vegas when we did the developer download. We're going to be doing all of our demos live on stage, just like this morning, no slides, unless you guys want slides. Juergen? No. Okay, so the developer advocates really enjoy all the aspects of our jobs, but the one thing that really means a lot to us is to be able to talk and demo code with you, our community. So I really want all of you in the audience to think of this as us hanging out with you, all of our friends, all of you online as well, just talking code. So if any problems happen, this is live, we're just going to have to deal with it. And this is cutting-edge live technology, so bear with us as we work through it, but everything should go great as we have fun exploring this technology together. Pay attention to this next part. Setting the stage for the next hour. You may have wondered, why did it say all this about time? And we're basically doing a jump back, right? I could do better, probably. So, I don't want to get hurt. 2023, jumping back to 2003. All right, that's the year that we wanted to jump back to because it's the birth of the web-based SAP community. Now, I want to introduce you in 2003 to Sheena. She's a talented young developer just starting out her career in the SAP world. She's over in her dorm room, and she's passionate about creating applications that make an impact. She's currently working on some early versions of the SAP core software from 2003. So buckle up as we take Sheena and all of you on this incredible journey through time, technology, and transformation. Everybody, let's go.
Ooh, another day of great questions on SDN. The community is buzzing with so much activity. Now, time for something little different. Time travel. Wouldn't that be something? Just imagine meeting developers from 20 years in the future or 20 years in the past. Oh, the code we could write. You know what would be super cool? A time traveler party. Stephen Hawking wrote about this idea. Imagine a party when you send out the invitations after the event has already happened. People from different eras would show up if time travel happens. Imagine discussing the future of ABAP with someone who is already living it. The conversations would be mind-blowing. All this talk about time travel is making me sleepy. Well, time for some shut-eye. Maybe I'll dream of the ultimate time traveler party with developers from all across time.
And as Sheena dreams of time bending, little does she know that her journey through the corridors of technology and time is just beginning.
Greetings, Sheena. Don't be alarmed. We're SAP developers just like you, but from different points in time. We've traveled here from the year 2023 to share with you how your life as a developer is going to change dramatically over the next 20 years. You are about to experience an explosion of innovation, from cloud computing to artificial intelligence to the next generation of developer tooling. And we are here to show you a preview of the best of it.
Wow, that's incredible. So can you tell me who will win the next World Cup or maybe the next few presidencies?
Oh, whoa, hold on there. I have to clarify something important. We can only discuss the future of SAP technologies. So no world events, no sports scores, nothing like that.
Why is that? We're discussing other topics, destroy the space-time continuum, wipe out something out of existence. This all sounds to me like a big ball of wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey stuff.
No, it's nothing that dramatic. We're just so busy writing code and pushing the boundaries of SAP technology that honestly, none of us have paid much attention to anything else.
So some things never change, huh? Developers staying focused on code, whether it is 2003 or 2023?
Exactly.
Yep, that's true. But now, are you ready to learn about the future and what it holds for SAP and developers like you?
Absolutely. Let's dive in.
Let's start with the seamless collaboration between developers and business experts. Technology, like generative AI, is going to allow these two groups to work together better than ever before, even from the early brainstorming requirements gathering phase. So let's see how.
Okay, let's map this out. So we have orders and order items. Now watch this. With ChatGPT Vision, we can turn the sketch into a functioning SAP CAP application preview. So let me take a pic of this. Turn this image into SAP CAP application code. Okay. And it's processing. So, wow, isn't it cool? Here is a preview of the generated SAP CAP application code. How cool is that? So we can talk through the requirements with the business expert, all while seeing exactly how changes in those requirements are going to impact our application model from a high level.
Yeah, that's really cool. It even took the pretty bad handwriting there and was able to turn that into an SAP CAP application. But now that I see the preview there on the screen, I realize that we're missing something. We need some product information as well. So let's go ahead and add that to our diagram.
OK, no problem. Let me take another pic. And all updated, Tom. So now let's send this new AI-generated prompt created from this image to our next time traveler who will continue the work in SAP Build Code tooling.
What you've just seen is how technology is bridging the gaps, making collaboration easier and more efficient than ever. This is the present and the future of SAP, intuitive, seamless, and innovative. But it doesn't stop with this collaboration or just a preview of the application. Over to you, DJ, another time traveler who's going to show us what can be done now in 2023 with SAP Build Code and its generative AI capabilities.
Why, thank you, Josh. So, Sheena, it may surprise you to know that the programming language that's experienced the most growth right now in 2023 is English. That's right. Text prompts could become the lingua franca between developers and generative AI coding assistants. It's all text. So the best thing is I can still use my terminal. What's not to like, right? Yes. Some terminal fans in the audience. Anyway, let's use that text prompt to take a bit of a look behind the curtain at our generative AI capabilities in SAP Build Code in the form of Joule. Now, depending on your time zone, some of you may or may not have seen the amazing demo from Sangeeta and Michael in the executive keynote. Yes, big round of applause for the keynote this morning. Whoa! That's enough. Now, whether you have or not, you're going to want to see this because we saw a glimpse of the code, but we're developers, so we want to see all of the code. So I've got a dev space here in the SAP Business Application Studio, part of SAP Build Code, with a skeleton project already set up. The storyboard's open, and you can see that there's an empty data model and an empty service there. But what we're going to do is open up the Explorer and just have a look at the stuff that we have so far. So there's nothing in the app directory. Of course, these should be fairly familiar to us. And there's nothing in the app directory apart from some skeleton UI. In the DB directory, we have just a bare bones schema, right? All of us CAP developers recognize this, and I quite like to be reminded of what aspects SAP CS Common has available to me. So it's really nice. And in our serve directory, all we have so far is just a really bare bones service definition. Nothing in it, an explicit path. That's about it. By the way, I've already committed most of this, apart from the stuff in the app directory, to Git. So we can easily spot what gets created and changed next. So let's get Joule on the case. I'm going to open Joule now through the guide, just like we saw this morning. And we can see, as Sangeeta showed us, we can generate a data model and create a service, basically build an app that is immediately runnable. We can add some sample data. We can add some application logic. I'm going to be doing that as well. We can also have help with unit testing. Who doesn't need help with unit testing, right? Anyway, I'm going to start with creating the project, just like Sangeeta did this morning. So I'm going to open Joule. And down here, I'm going to paste in, basically, the prompt that we got from earlier. Now, because I've got the microphone live, I can sort of suggest, I'm from Manchester, and I'm not sure where the name Joule came from, but I'd like to think that it was from the 19th century world-leading physicist, Joule, who was born in Manchester and also a brewer. Anyway, oh, there it is, there it is. We've already got some beautiful declarative CDS generated. Let's accept it, but also let's view it in situ. We've got now, oh, did I accept it? Where are we? Come on, come on, come on. Guide sensor, open Joule, there we go again. There we are. DJ, press it properly. There we go. Let's accept it, and now, not only do we have some skeleton UI, some really fancy skeleton UI, that's from SAP Build Code, not from Joule, but what we get from Joule. Even before we get to the skeleton, to the CDS, we get some annotations. Who here struggles with annotations? Me too, right? So we've got some beautiful UI annotations, header info, identification, data point, all these feel familiar. We've got some lovely, simple, but very well welcome title annotations as well. We've got a field group, we've got some header facets, absolutely fantastic. What are these annotations referring to? We saw a glimpse of this in Sangeeta's demonstration, but let's just stare at this, because this is not only formatted beautifully, but this is something that we as developers can learn from. There's best practices here, right? This is generated code with best practices. UUID type for the key fields, and for the human readable key fields like order ID, we get some beautiful mandatory and assert unique annotations. Well, even what's not to like? But the thing I like the most is the fact that Joule not only knows about associations and compositions, it knows when and where to use what, right? So let's now have a look. In fact, one of the things that I really love about this is that this is immediately runnable. So let me start off and start the running of this code. npm install, heaviest thing in the universe, node modules directory. Let's get that loaded. Now, while we wait for that to load, let's have a look in the service.cds. Best practices again. We can learn from Joule again, right? OData draft enablement of both of our service entities, sensible service name, explicit, be explicit DJ. It's just fantastic. So we're having this installed, and immediately we've gone from a simple English text prompt to pretty much, hopefully, fingers crossed, cross all your fingers and your toes in the audience, to a fully running app. How many people are CAP developers here already? I'll say again, just think about this. How many people are CAP developers already? Yes, that's better. Okay, so while it's waiting, I want to also point out the fact that this that we're about to see, oh, there we go, it's running. Yes, oh, this is running is a combination of the fantastic skeleton project in SAP Build Code, generative AI, but also, dare I say, the absolutely wonderful convention over configuration philosophy and grow as you go approach from CAP that makes everything so beautifully delicious for us as developers. So, oh, port 4004 is already, oh my goodness me, there we go. That's okay. We don't want to see the UI. We're not, we're back-end, we're CAP developers. So instead, what I want to do is go across and make myself a little bit more useful by, what am I doing? Oh yeah, where am I? Oh yes, TechEd, Keynote, by adding some application logic. So let me bring up Joule again. I can bring up Joule. Let me stop this. Let me stop the app running. Let me bring up Joule, and I can get to Joule by opening up the graphical modeler. Now, some folks may already be familiar with the graphical modeler, and here it is. Let me just move that across here, make it a little bit bigger. Now, you saw, and Sangeeta showed this this morning as well, you saw that from this orders entity, we can add an action or a function. Actions and functions in OData, orthogonal, but still cool. But we want to add some business logic. So I'm going to bring up this here. Let me close that. I'm going to say, I would like stock validation. I would like some help, please, Joule, with some business logic for this orders service entity. Now, we saw this morning, but I just want to dwell on what we saw here. We're saying here, we want our business logic to replace, to be in the on phase, any standard business logic. And we also want this business logic to be for the create standard event in CAP and the update standard event in CAP. Now, even here, we as developers can interact with Joule on our own terms as CAP developers. Not some weird voodoo incantations that means nothing to nobody, right? Let's open the code editor. and type in what we want. So emit an error if the stock quantity, if the product stock quantity, let's have that, let's be precise, DJ, product stock quantity is less than the order item. I'm so excited I can't type. Item quantity. Now, it's thinking. While it's thinking, it gives us a chance to just stare as developers for a little bit at what we're seeing in the main editor. We've got an empty JavaScript module. Looks pretty innocent, but check out the name in the tab, orders logic stock validation.js, right? Now, let me accept this. Let me press a button properly this time. How beautiful is that, right? We have, as well as fantastic indentation, we've got JavaScript best practices. You know, all the things that I would love to do. I would argue, right, that this is no different to what I could write on a good day, right? So we've got async await, we've got use of constant, we've got my favorite functional aspect for X of X's, we've got a proper transaction wrapped request for data, all the beautiful CAP best practices from Joule for me to learn from as a developer. We've even got a great error message. Let's just see where this fits in. Let me go back to the Explorer. We can see we have a code directory, and then our service.js loads that module. So we don't have this horrendous overloading of logic. We've got this absolutely beautiful modularization. Who knew that this was even a thing, right? Oh, I'm learning from this again. We've got in line 12, I pointed before, in line 12 there, await orders logic stock validation, pass the request. Absolutely fantastic. We're loading that loading the module in line 6. Now, I'm going to adopt this approach for my next large CAP project. Anyway, we've got this discrete organization of logic modules. We've even got, look at that, we've even got next and proper use of next for process request chains. Anyway, I'm getting stared at by the cameras. DJ, that's enough. I'd love to show you unit tests, but I can't. So come to see me afterwards with a beer. I hope I've managed to give you a glimpse behind the curtain. We're soon going to have these facilities in the SAP Business Application Studio as part of SAP Build Code. From a developer perspective, I'm super excited and genuinely fascinated by the code that's generated by our friend Joule. It's better than okay. It's good enough for us to learn from. And you know what? That's what we developers do best.
Sheena, what did you think of DJ's demo?
Well, I don't know about time bending, but this was definitely mind bending. But hey, what is a cricket player doing here?
Oh, I'm not just a cricket player, Sheena. I'm an SAP developer. Hola, SAP developers. Sheena, local tools have changed significantly in the past 20 years. These tools help us bridge the gap between developers and business experts. Let me show you what can be achieved when you fuse different products, part of SAP Build, in order to extend the business processes from your ERP with little code. But before I show you how, I want to acknowledge the great work of our colleague, Daniel Robleski, who has helped us prepare this demo, but unfortunately, he cannot be here with us. So, since it's the Cricket World Cup season right now, I decided to build this fantasy cricket player app that you see on screen. You can see that we have a leaderboard here. We also have some player stats. And I'm also able to manage my teams here, right? So you can see my team here, Dream Crushers. Now, the app is able to know which are my teams because we're leveraging SAP BTP authentication. It uses SAP BTP authentication also to securely communicate with my CAP service. Now, my CAP service here, I built it with the local tools available in SAP Business Application Studio. And I previously enabled discovery and deploying it to BTP using this new task in the Task Explorer. Okay, so in the end, what happens in the background is that it ends up adding some properties into a BTP destination so that Bill can easily discover it. OK, now let's go ahead and go back to my app. And I'm just going to create a new team. Here, I'm going to let the app suggest me a team name. And this is actually using a very popular generative AI API in the background. And it is not coming back with a name right now. So seems like the demo gods are not playing with us. Oh, there you go. The elusive Australis. Yeah, I'm happy with that. So I'll save this. And I'm just going to add some players here, OK? Shardul will be part of my team. I'll select Rassi here. And maybe, yeah, this player had a lot of points before, so Quinton. Now I'm going to search for my favorite player, OK? So in this case, Virat Kohli, OK? Virat is not in my, I'm sorry. Don't worry, we'll fix it. So this gives me the opportunity to actually show you a bit of the process that's in the background in order for us to actually add cricket players into my backend. So like most things in the SAP world, it all starts in S4 HANA Cloud, right? So we manage all our cricket players in S4 HANA Cloud. So let me create him, Virat Kohli. I need to enter his nationality, India, of course. And we identify all our cricket players with a BP type. So in this case, 002. Perfect. So now, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to save this business partner. And in the background, what's happening is that it will end up triggering a business event to SAP Event Mesh. Event Mesh will receive that business event, and it will end up forwarding that event to SAP Build Process Automation. So if everything went well, we are going to see here a new, yeah, perfect. Here we have him. So you can see that a number of things have happened in this process. So let's check out the process. In the process, you can see that I am first retrieving business partner data. So the notification event that I receive only contains a business partner ID. Obviously, not enough information. So I retrieve it from S4 HANA Cloud. Then I'm only processing the business partners of BP type 002. And then, given that I provided minimal information to S4 HANA Cloud, then I call another service to retrieve player data, so to match it to the business partner that I created. Okay? And in the end, once it goes through the approval process, it will end up creating that player in my Fantasy Cricket backend. As you can see, leveraging actions in order to be able to communicate with different systems. But there's an approval step here. This is not your out-of-the-box approval form. This is actually a custom SAP UI5 form that my colleague Michelle built. So Michelle, can you share with us what's in this approval form?
Sure, Antonio. I can definitely share more about what's in this form. So here's the form that my fellow developer advocate Nico and I created. As you can see, it's pretty snazzy, using SAP UI5 controls not available in the built-in form creation tools and SAP Build Process Automation, such as this cricket bat-shaped element here. And getting it hooked up into the process was actually pretty easy. So this project was created using a template in SAP Business Application Studio with a few modifications to make this work for our needs. To connect this to our processes, the first thing we did was add the inputs, outputs, and outcomes that we expect into the manifest.json file. This is how we indicate what data we need to have from previous steps and what we expect to pass along to future steps. In our JavaScript code, we call the API of the SAP Build Process Automation inbox to add various actions that are needed for the process. One example is this data model context, which contains the data we consume in the code. In our XML file, which is the approval form itself, you can see this context data model in here using binding to the input and output controls using the data binding syntax. This is where the real benefit of all of this work is. You can show and manipulate data in a highly customized way using all of the benefits of an SAP UI5 application. And that's it. All of the code we need has been added so the form can be deployed into SAP BTP, which I have already done previously. Moving on, our next step is to consume the form in the SAP Build Process Automation workflow. The first step to that would be to import the form using this button here. This data can be found in the manifest.json file that I showed earlier, and I've actually already imported the form here so let's move on to the workflow to show you how it gets all hooked up. Here is where we add the form into the process itself. By clicking this icon in between the appropriate steps, going to the Approvals dropdown, and clicking the form, this will add it to the workflow. In the first tab, you can add what we want the form to be called in the inbox, and who we want to receive this form, which in our case would be the league manager, and we can do this either individually or through a user group. In the inputs, this is where we send in data from previous steps into our form. One example would be batting style. To process the outputs and send them into future steps, you would click on that future steps, go into the inputs, go into the appropriate input field, and click the output from the form. In this case, it would be credits, which is how much we want the player to cost when you add them to your team. The final step is to tell the workflow what to do when the form is rejected. You could do this with an easy drag and drop, and that's it. I'm done. All I need to do is save and release, and we can move on. As we saw previously, this form has been deployed into a different process and is fully configured. As I am the league manager, I can go into my inbox and see the Virat Kohli form here, and it's all ready for me to set the fantasy credits, comments, and approve and deny. I'll go ahead and set the credits to maximum because he's a pretty good player and very popular. I'll add a comment, I'll acknowledge, and I will click approve. This will tell the process to proceed with creating the player in the fantasy cricket backend that Antonio mentioned before. Antonio, you should check again. He should now be available in the app, so you can add him to your team.
OK, let's see. Is Virat here? There he is.
Woo!
Excellent. So now I'm able to add him to my team, right? So 10 credits, yeah, that's good. So here we go. This is my team now. You can see 4 players here. So let's wrap it up. What did we do? We created a CAP service with SAP Business Application Studio and exposed it with a simple click. With SAP Build Apps, we integrated with BTP authentication in order to connect to CAP and to easily identify the current user. With SAP Build Process Automation, we let our process react to events from S4 HANA Cloud via Event Mesh, and we leverage actions to communicate with a variety of systems.
And finally, we use the SAP UI5 applications to quickly create a rich custom form and use it within our approvals process.
I'm loving how easy all that looks. But what about data mining?
Oh, no.
I'm loving how easy all that looks. But what about data mining?
You mean data science. A lot has changed in 20 years. Got a lot of news for you there, but for that, we need a caffeinated data geek named Vitaly to help us.
Yeah. DJ mentioned already that programming language which might experience the most growth in 2020s is English. Well, I hope that all you remember that SQL was created in 1970s as the 4th generation language promising to execute complex data queries but using simple English statements. So let us have a look at one of these statements. As humans, we can perfectly read what is in there, right? Give me quantities, sold in LA, which is Los Angeles, summarized and ordered by year. I can read it, you can read it, but can machine read it? No, because we need to follow still strict rules of syntax that SQL follows, right? So now we got these results. As a data engineer, I had to fix it to get the result. As you have heard, SAP Just Ask technology uses AI language models. And here I have a preview of Just Ask in my SAP Analytics Cloud tenant. So now I can just don't think much what kind of question or how I want to formulate this question, or a prompt, if you will, right? I'm just saying quantity sold, the way I used to say it in business, in LA, sorted by or ordered by, doesn't matter. I get the result, and then I keep working with that if I need to. So I need to open Data Explorer, or I can copy and continue working with this data in the data story. As well, I can switch to the column view just to show you that the results are the same, right? So this is what makes NLQ, or natural language querying, a reality that was unimaginable 20 years ago. Many things we've seen so far looked like magic, and maybe it even looked like Kala Jadoo for some of you, black magic. But who of you are curious what is behind this? What is behind how modern AI works? Well, the natural language is important. But when we look under the hood, then mathematics is importanter. By now, you should have heard the word embeddings in all different flavors. If you paid close attention, that term actually was introduced 20 years ago in 2002. Embeddings were nicely explained during this morning executive keynote. But let me reiterate. They are mathematical representations of the content, like words we as humans are using, in the form of vectors, so something that machines can process. As you have heard again during the opening keynote, we are extending the multimodal processing capabilities of SAP HANA database in SAP HANA Cloud by introducing support for embeddings. Let's have a closer look at this. So I've got a table, and in this table, I store 3,000 words or tokens, as it is often used to call in AI. And these tokens are actually words and phrases. And then I store the vector representation, which is using real vector SQL data type that you might have seen already in the morning keynote. Now, among these 3 million words, let me have a look if I can find the word that this HANA database will understand. That would be SAP TechEd. And just to make it readable for you, I'm going to still change the presentation to the human readable, so Envar Chow. OK. So this is the word SAP TechEd. It is available out there in these 3 million words. And this is 300 dimensions vector that represents the semantics of this word. So these vectors, seen as ordered set of numbers, encode the meaning of each word in such a way that words that are closer in that vector space, measured by the distance between these vectors, are expected to be similar in meaning. As simple as that, and it does the magic. Now, let us have a look at slightly more complex examples. So I am in Business Application Studio, and since a few months, you have a Python extension available in Business Application Studio, which means that I can work with Jupyter notebooks. And I have prepared 2 of them, as you might see. And let me use Business CLI, just to impress DJ, to open one of them. OK, so with Jupyter Python notebooks, you might run something as complex as this. But I will leave this code for you geeks to run on your own time. What we are going to have a look is Python used to work with SAP HANA embedded machine learning. That's why I'm using here HANA ML, which is a client for embedded machine learning in SAP HANA. I'm connecting with my user key, because last year during Keynote, Juergen was afraid that I'm using just a simple password that everyone will guess. So this time, I just hide this behind the user key. So I am connecting to the same tokens. And actually, we are going to do a little bit more interesting query. So we have the word SAP ABAP. And now we want to measure distance from semantical distance from this word to a couple of other words. SQL, JavaScript, programming language, CLI, GUI, and so on and so forth. So as you have seen already, there is one of the 2 functions that are going to be built in SAP HANA Cloud that would allow you to measure this distance between these 2 vectors. So what we can read from there? So programming language is the word that most closely related to SAP ABAP, and SQL is somewhat more close to SAP ABAP than JavaScript, and ABAP is closer to GUI than to CLI. Again, sorry, DJ. And interesting, ABAP is closer to aliens than it is to humans. So any of you aliens here in the room? Oh, OK. So welcome to SAP TechEd. Welcome to Earth. Next time, we are going to run TechEd maybe on your planet. I'm waiting for the invitation. So let's move on. Now, having this simple formula just to measure the distance between meaning of the two words, we can do something even more interesting. So this is a formula that took me only 4 hours to come up with, and this allows me to find the similar meaning. What I mean by that is that I'm the only one in our team who actually doesn't understand cricket, but I would like to discuss with the rest of the team at least who the most famous cricketers are, and because I know that Stephen Hawking is actually the world-renowned astrophysicist, I'm running the same for cricketer, right? And I'm getting suggestions from HANA. So these are 3 cricketers like Brian, Ian, and Sachin that should you mention this in front of our Indian team, they should appreciate my knowledge of cricket. Let's have a look at slightly different example. And I showed you in SAP Analytics Cloud that instead of Los Angeles, which was the value in database, I used just LA when used just ask. And now that I know that LA is the abbreviation for Los Angeles, what the abbreviation for New York would be. So HANA returns NYC or NY might be these abbreviations for New York. OK, let's change this slightly. And we know that LAX is the airport code for Los Angeles. So will we get now airport codes for New York? 3, 2, 1. Yes, it is JFK, and it is EWR for Newark. So you've seen how SAP HANA Vector Engine allows to work with word embeddings represented by numerical vectors. Sorry. But embeddings can also store sentences, whole documents, or other kind of structured and unstructured data to power the intelligent data applications that you build. So let us have a look at yet another example. And this time, I will just open this notebook with a simple click without running the CLI. And what we've done here is encoded as well pictures of our SAP developer advocates. So Juergen, if you kind of were already shocked by the vector that stored 1700 dimensional vector, then let me tell you that here we used vectors that are 2047 dimensions. And guess what? We used your image to encode this as well. So the question that everyone in our team was really curious to get answer for, who of us, among all our developer advocates, looks the most as Juergen? So this is the HANA question that is going to be answered, right? So we have this similarity between 2 image vectors. One of them is Juergen, and the answer is, oops, sorry, I didn't run this query. So the answer is Michelle. I think this is this smile. So now over to you, Nora, to show us how to combine the HANA Vector Engine and the use of large language models in SAP AI Foundation.
Something must have gone wrong when traveling back in time, because I think I landed in Heidelberg. Sheena, you have heard so many use cases today using AI, and specifically generative AI, ranging from supporting HR tasks to CAP and ABAP development. But what is ChatGPT actually? ChatGPT is an application on top of one of OpenAI's large language models. For example, GPT 3.5 Turbo, GPT-4, whatever it's called. And large language models are so cool because they are trained on a gigantic amount of training data, so millions and billions of data points. And therefore, the models themselves are huge. They have a lot of nodes, kind of like in your brain. And that way, models can actually imitate human language in a way that it almost sounds like they understand how the world works. And they do that by essentially calculating the probability of the next word over and over again until they formed sentences and entire texts. So what do you need in order to implement your own use case in the SAP ecosystem? You need an instance of SAP AI Core, where you can access the generative AI hub with all our partner large language models or foundation models. And you need a subscription to SAP AI Launchpad, where you can create your deployment for your own large language model endpoint. So here I'm in my AI Launchpad. I'm going to create a configuration with this scenario that's already pre-configured from SAP. I'm going to, here you can see the executables that you need to create the configuration, and there are all our partner models. Azure OpenAI, for example, is the provider of all the GPT models. AI Core Open Source is, for example, the Falcon model, and I'm going to use this one because I want to create a configuration and therefore a deployment with the default model GPT 3.5 Turbo because it's the fastest. I'm going to create this and then create a deployment with that. And then it's going to take some time for the deployment to turn its status into running and receive a URL. But I have another deployment that we can just use. I'm going to copy that URL, go to my Python IDE, paste it here, and now it's really just a normal REST call, so you can already query your model. I'm going to tell the model to be Stephen Hawking and to please respond to this query. Tell me what you think of time travel. Is it possible or not? Have you conducted any experiments? So let's run and have a look. And the model says, time travel is a fascinating concept, la 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 la. No concrete evidence or successful experiments have been conducted. Well, but I know that Stephen Hawking did have an experiment, the Time Traveler's Party, where he only sent out invitations after the party has already happened, so only people from the future could have attended. So what do you do when your model responds in a way that sounds grammatically correct, but you know that it's factually incorrect? It's called a hallucination. And basically there's a method called retrieval augmented generation, where you get a set of custom documents and you feed it into your model and tell the model to read that before it responds. And that's what I did. I went online. I found a website containing an interview with Stephen Hawking about his time traveler's party. I copied the entire website with advertisements and everything. That's the cool thing about large language models. The data doesn't have to be structured at all. And then I chunked that document. I turned it into vectors, so embeddings, and I fed all that into the HANA Vector Store. So now my documents are stored in the HANA Vector Store. And what I can do now is, before I ask the query again, I'm going to go to my HANA Vector Store and I'm going to find the document that is most relevant for my query. My query, again, being, tell me what you think of time travel, la 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 la. And then I'm going to retrieve that text and I'm going to give that as context before I ask my model the same query again. And now I obviously hope it knows about the time travel, right? So it's kind of like at home, where we have this gigantic mess of important documents, and when my husband tries to find something, he never does. So he asks me, and I find my way around this unstructured mess, and I can return the exact information that he was looking for to him, kind of like a large language model with retrieval augmented generation would do. And this time, yay, the model responds, I have conducted experiments and gathered evidence suggesting that time travel is not possible. In an invitation-only party for time travelers, I sent out the invitations after the party had taken place. Yet no one arrived, which led Stephen Hawking to believe that time travel was not possible. But then how did we end up here?
This is all fantastic, but I am an ABAP developer. Will I still be able to leverage my ABAP skills in 2023?
Absolutely. You didn't really think we were going to do an entire developer keynote without ABAP, did you? Did you? No. Well, folks, the ABAP language will grow and evolve till then, but in 2023, we have the ABAP Cloud and the ABAP RESTful Application Programming Model, which allows customers and partners to build cloud-ready business applications, services, and extensions using SAP BTP and SAP S/4HANA, both public and private editions, as well as on-prem. Of course, with any new programming model comes new aspects to learn that we need to manage as well. This means the more robust our programming model becomes, the more we need to help our customers and partners manage all those new development objects, features as efficiently as possible. With that, I'd like to show that we're working on at SAP. Now, this is a preview. This is a proof of concept only at this point. Taking a look at it, it's all Z code all the way down to the REST calls just above the kernel. But it really shows how we can use the power of large language models and generative AI, like we've seen already today, to quickly create a boilerplate wrap application. I'd like to thank our colleagues in Waldorf who are responsible for working on this POC. So I'd like to thank Christian and Andre for all your hard work and allowing me to show what you've done so far. So let's go to the system. So I have a steampunk system running here. I have a connection to that system in my ABAP Cloud project here in ADT. And the current state of this POC is largely back-end processing right now. So we don't have it yet fully integrated into ADT, which is why I'm going to do it from a UI here. So I could have hard-coded the user prompt directly in my class, but that's not cool, right? You know what is cool? Using an open source framework to quickly and easily build a UI from ABAP. So to demonstrate from a simple UI, I've created this small chat application using ABAP to UI5, which is an open source community project created by SAP, project for creating SAP UI5 applications directly in ABAP. Now, this project was created by Obamov, which is a screen name, and he really did a great job with it, and now he has other contributors adding new features as well. So check it out. And of course, a big shout out to the ABAP Git contributors. Thank you so much for all that you do with the ABAP Git project and the ABAP open source community in general. All right, so let's have a quick chat with it. We can ask it something very simple like, what is an exception class? Right? I'll go ahead and send that. It's thinking. All right, and it gives me a nice definition of what an exception class is for ABAP, right? Cool. But let's do some more cool. Let's jump right to the cooler stuff, like generating a wrap application. Okay. So I'm going to paste my prompt in there, and I'm going to need a prefix for that. I don't think I've used the letter V yet. What kind of engine you got in your Mustangs, a V8 or V6?
V8, of course.
V8? All right, let's go with a V8 then. All right? Let's make that capital just for our sake here, okay? All right, and we'll go ahead and run that, okay? Now, this takes about 3 minutes or so, but when this is all done running, we should see a bunch of objects in our ZDemo BO package, which you see on the left here is currently empty. But all those new objects will have that V8 prefix in the name. So you can see my user prompt here that I'm sending. I'll go ahead and we sent that to the server. So for this user prompt, I want to generate an ABAP Cloud business application using the ABAP RESTful application programming model, right? To manage artists, albums, and songs. I'm a huge music fan, so this is the first data model, of course, that came to mind, right? So artists can have multiple albums, an album can have multiple songs, an artist has a name and a bio, an album has a name and a release date, and a song has a name and duration in seconds. And of course, we're going to generate this in the ZDemo BO package with that prefix. So what's really happening here? We're using the power of generative AI and large language models to generate all of the necessary ABAP development objects that are required for a boilerplate wrap application with full CRUD, create, read, update, and delete capabilities. So this would include the tables, the different layers of views, the behavior definitions, the metadata extensions, the business service, and the business service bindings. So this will just take another minute or so, but while we wait for that, Tom, you think this is going to work, buddy?
I sure hope so. It's off to a good start. You'll have it here in a minute. But while we wait, let's talk about the future of ABAP. I'm sure many of you in this room have touched ABAP at some point in your career. And SAP is fully committed to ABAP. This commitment is even stronger than ever. We are continually making significant investments in the ABAP ecosystem. I mean, look at what SAP has delivered with ABAP Cloud. It's a truly generational change to the ABAP development experience, but it keeps the core syntax and the capabilities that you already know. And it's available on all the flavors of S/4HANA, on-premise and cloud. as well as standalone on SAP BTP. So whether it's platform upgrades, new features, educational resources, or certifications, rest assured ABAP is here to stay and grow. But let's talk about the future a little bit more. With the advent of S/4HANA, ABAP Cloud, and our movement towards cloud computing and AI in general, ABAP is becoming more versatile, more cloud-ready, and optimized for the next generation of applications. This isn't the ABAP of 2003. This is a reinvigorated, more powerful ABAP designed to meet the challenges of modern enterprise solutions. Now, there's been some talk in the community about ABAP maybe being dead. Why don't we lay that notion to rest once and for all? ABAP is certainly not dead, as you've seen here today. It's very much alive, evolving, and fundamental to the SAP ecosystem. We're actively encouraging our community of developers to think about ABAP as a dynamic tool for innovation, not just maintenance. ABAP has a rich evolution over the last 40 years. By the way, happy birthday, ABAP. There's a recent happy birthday video online that you should definitely check out. And we're here to say that ABAP has a great 20 years ahead of it as well. So if you're an ABAP developer or considering becoming one, let me tell you, there's never been a better time to dive into this language. It's a skill set that's in demand, its opportunities are numerous, and with ongoing innovations like what you've seen here at TechEd, your career as an ABAP developer will be anything but stagnant. In conclusion, ABAP is not just a part of SAP's history, but also a part of its future. It's a vehicle of innovation and a cornerstone of our development environment. And I can't wait for you to see what's coming up next for ABAP and how it's going to transform your work in incredible new ways.
Thanks, Tom, for buying me some time.
Yep.
But it looks like the generation has completed. So what exactly... Oh, can we get my... Thank you. So I've used some, so what exactly did we do here? So I've used some experimental custom code to make a call to the generative AI hub on AI Core running on SAP BTP, passing a prompt to it and receiving results back from the service, which contains instructions for generating all of these ABAP objects, which we now see here on the left-hand side in my package, right? So as you can see here, we have the database tables. We have both the main tables and the draft tables. We have the various CDS views. We have the metadata extensions for your UI annotations, the behavior definitions for enriching your service, and of course the service binding, and service definition and service binding, right? But take a look at the code that was generated in the behavior definition here. That's cool, right? So we also have the ability to generate a class for loading generic data into our tables automatically. And I can run this straight away because it published the service for me, right? So if I go to the application, here's our application, right? I can hit go, and right away, I have data in my table. So we can see that I can also go here and just, I have full CRUD operations here. I can go in here and create a new artist. Let's use my favorite lead singer here. Musician from Boston. And I can go ahead and save that. And of course, it's now saved. I can go back and you can see it's in my list there. So as we can see, I have a fully functioning wrap application with full CRUD support here. All of this was done by the system based off of simple user prompt that I showed earlier. Based on just that small amount of information, using natural language, the system was able to determine what the data model should look like, how it should be wired together, and so on. And now the developer is free to fully customize the application further, adding in additional features such as validations, determinations, side effects, events, and custom actions. We can leverage this technology to get through the low-level framework type tasks of development and focus our attention on the core business logic of the application. So to summarize, I'm going to get excited here. If you like what you see here today, give me some feedback, all right? I've generated a boilerplate application for a data model that contains 3 tables with relationships between all 3 tables. I've generated the behavior definition, which exposes the full CRUD operations for all 3 tables. I've generated the business service and the business service bindings, and published my service, which shows us we can have a full-blown application in minutes. And that is what we want to do with generative AI technology. Let's get the baseline and less interesting parts of the functionality out of the way so we can concentrate on the humans writing the valuable business logic. Just think of the opportunities. Exciting stuff, right? Thank you.
Okay, audience, while these 2 time travelers make their way back to their seats, give them another round of applause. That was a lot of great technology. Thank you to all of our demo people. It was great. And now, let's time travel.
Wait,
right.
what? Was it all a dream?
All right, thanks again to all of our developer advocates and for all of you for going with us on that journey. We got a couple more things we want to do real quick, though. This keynote wouldn't be possible without this entire team effort, so thank you so much for all your hard work to our team. Audience, again, how did we do? Thank you. Thank you. And thank you to all of you for being here. I know it means a lot to us to have you here online and in the room. So thank you, of course, the thousands of you watching here and around the world. And we'll see you next year for our next developer keynote, right? Yeah, I know. Okay, so next we wanted to reveal the winners of our Devtoberfest contest. And for that, I want to bring out 2 of our developer advocates, Mamiki and Rekka, and then we're leading right in the demo jam, so stay put.
Welcome to the Devtoberfest.
Content and contest.
Hello, everyone.
You win.
Can you beat me? I'm curious.
And also, gain some badges from.
We wanted to open it up to more participation and opportunities for the community.
We have an amazing guest today.
Welcome everybody to Fun Friday event. What are you doing here?
We will close out that week with our Fun Friday activity.
It's a celebration for developers. Looks like there's a lot of information in there for everybody. Thank you for listening. I'm definitely looking forward to see you.
Wow. That was a really exciting look into what Devtoberfest is. Rekka, Devtoberfest, this was your first year of Devtoberfest, right?
Yeah, exactly. I had a privilege to be part of the Devtoberfest organizing team, and I hosted a few technical sessions. And I learned a lot about the new tools, technologies of SAP S/4HANA and BTP product from our product experts. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
I'm so glad to hear that it was so fantastic. Now let's get into the details of what Devtoberfest actually is, right? 4 weeks, 5 incredible topics. That's the journey that we've been on with Devtoberfest, which has made a well-deserved return for its 4th year. Devtoberfest isn't just another event, right?
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Mamiki. It's where we dive deep into educational sessions, roll up our sleeves, and try the latest and greatest developer tools and technologies and gear up for the upcoming SAP TechEd.
Now, every single developer out there, whether you're a newbie or a seasoned pro, is invited to be a part of our tech talks, to learn from our guest speakers, and to be a part of our vibrant community.
We have the Devtoberfest game board where we earn points to reach the highest level of Devtoberfest contest called Nirvana. The more activities you do, the more points you earn.
That's right. Contestants completing tutorials and answering questions based on the session earn points, they get badges, and qualify to win prizes.
Yeah, right. Speaking of prizes, let's showcase the winners and what they have won. We are super excited. In fact, only 84% of the participants achieved a grand prize level of Nirvana, shown here.
Wow. Now, we have not one, but we have 10 grand prize winners chosen from our top qualifiers. They won a trip to SAP Newport Beach office in California, United States. Now, it takes an unwavering commitment to win these prizes, right? Only about 4% of the total contestants made it to this level this year. And now, it's our pleasure to announce, in no particular order, by the way, guys, the 10 winners randomly chosen.
So, Prabhu Murugesan, India. Priyanka Gayen, India. Gurudevendranath Irekar, India. Gunalan PM, India. Ram Kumar Venkatesan, India.
Sebastian Fox, Germany. Bartholomew Mashiach, Germany. Matthijs Hap, Netherlands. Yaroslav Paterko, Poland. And Alvaro Pinol Sanchez.
A big congratulations to all the winners. Let's give a huge round of applause to all our winners, our speakers, most of all, every one of you who continuously make this event great each year.
Devtoberfest wouldn't be Devtoberfest without our developers, and we can't wait to see you next year.
Yeah, thank you.
You two stay put. I really would love the audience to indulge me for one more thing before Demo Jam. We need a group selfie. If you guys don't mind, we're all going to stand here and smile for you. Can I get all the time traveling developer advocates to join me on stage? And I have a camera, so I need a camera and a bunch of developer advocates, and we can take a selfie. There's a couple. Come on out. Are you going to bring a chair in case we need somebody to stand on it? Oh! I don't know, is Juergen Mueller available? He helped us last year. Juergen, you would honor us and do it again? You be careful. Thank you, brother.
Let's do it, let's do it.
So we make this to heaven now? Yes.
I'm just, hey, same place next year. Please. Yeah. Thank you. Oh! So Juergen, take a selfie.
Thank you for coming.
Oh! All right. Thank you, everybody. Craig's coming out. We're going to get set up for Demo Jam. We have, I think it's 6 different people who made it to the Demo Jam finals tonight. So, Craig, wherever you are, I hope you can come out and get the audience excited. It's time to get going.